The fastest 3 hours in media. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, in the Charlotte Observer yesterday, wrote his own op-ed. Voters did not give Republicans a mandate. He says, since the election, I've heard some of my fellow Republicans claim the party received a decisive mandate from voters. Let's be clear. The American people didn't give a GOP a stamp of approval or a mandate to ram through an ideologically driven far-right agenda. If the election was a mandate for anything, it was for elected officials in both parties to break through the gridlock to finally start producing results. That is a Republican writing that. Tom Tillis, North Carolina. This is just blind and ignorant. And we'll set him straight when we get back. Don't go away. Oh, yeah. Stand by audio soundbites 2 and 3. Right. Greetings. Welcome back, folks. Great to have you. Rush Limbaugh's Excellence in Broadcasting Network with half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. We're big on fairness here. The coin of the realm, if you will. 800-282-2882 and the email address lrushmo@eibnet.us. Another item that I posted a thought on Justin from Rush earlier today at rushlimbaugh.com. By the way, we're working on something, folks. I've mentioned that these are my version of tweeting without using Twitter because it's exclusive to you. You know, I want to maintain the exclusive and great relationship that I have with you. And so all these things are available at rushlimbaugh.com and our newly redesigned website. One of the new features, Justin from Rush. And it is a little place at the top of the page where I will post occasionally thoughts on things that I see happening out there that I don't want to wait until the next day's show to address. So since last night, there have been 3 different things I've posted, but the design is for only one to display at a time. And if you miss any, you miss them. You can't get them. But I mentioned to you that this is a work and rollout. And we're modifying and addending the website as we roll it out. And I made a design decision. I just told Coco, look, we need to create a link where people can go back and look at previous posts of Just In from Rush. And we're working on that now. These things are not as simple as it may sound like and to get it to work each and every time people click on it. But we're working on this to make it happen because, hey, look, we need to preserve them for the historical record anyway. And if I'm going to be talking about them here, you may as well have a method of going back and look at those that you've missed. And believe me, they're all pithy. You're going to want to be able to access them at all times to be able to remind yourself of what you've read so that you can then pass it on and share it with others as your own opinion. So I'll let you know when we get that aspect or feature added to it. I'm not going to guarantee it. I don't guarantee anything that I'm not personally doing. And you never know what kind of obstacles you could possibly run into. But I don't think there's much to this. So if you've missed, for example, we can only post one at a time. That's the way it's because we don't want the whole home page to be nothing but posts from me. We don't want this feature to obscure the rest of the page, which it would if we just kept adding. So we've got the design decision for just one post just in from Rush at a time. And we're going to set up a link to previous posts. Now, Tom Tillis, I ran into this last night, and I know what's going on here. And this, by the way, is I think, a good illustration. The left claims, oh, folks, I was just telling Mr. Snerdley, these sound bites are coming up. I didn't know this had happened. I get the soundbite roster today from Cookie. And apparently PBS did this show last night on reviewing the Obama administration health care, which they blame me for everything. Only mentioned my name once. But in every bite, they use me. In every segment, they used sound bites from me to demonstrate and illustrate the opposition and the obstructionism to Obama. And in addition to that, there is a post from somebody, I have forgotten who, and I don't want to start looking at the stack right now to just distract me, but somebody made the point somewhere last night that Donald Trump studied thousands of hours of Rush Limbaugh before deciding to make, well, after deciding to make the run. He studied thousands of hours of me to learn the lingo, the mechanism by which to connect to voters. I don't know if it's true. I just think it's fascinating that there's somebody out there that thinks this. And if there's any grain of truth to it, I can't confirm it. I don't know. But this is a classic. The left says that the reason the Republicans obstructed Obama is because they're afraid of me. They're afraid of criticism from me. And this is one of the things what Obama was telling him. You got to stop listening to Rush Limbaugh because it's not how things get done in Washington. If you listen to Rush, you're just never going to cooperate with me. And in fact, Obama is leaving office complaining and whining about the fact that the Republicans remained scared of me for 8 years and because of that refused to help him. But let's not forget, he never wanted their help. Obama's the guy that was out there saying, I won, you lost. Why don't you just go somewhere else? I'm not interested in what you have to say. He never wanted to work. Every time Obama would say, hey, I'm working on Obama. If anybody got a better idea, anybody got something, I don't care who. If it makes it better, I'm open. BS. There was never any desire to do anything but smother the Republicans, which is fine. That's what politics is. So here comes Tom Tillis, Senator, North Carolina, in the Charlotte Observer, writing an op-ed piece claiming that voters didn't give Republicans a mandate. He says, since the election, I've heard some of my fellow Republicans claim that the party received a decisive mandate from voters. He says, let's be clear. The American people didn't give the GOP a stamp of approval or a mandate to ram through an ideologically driven far-right agenda. Here's a Republican using the term far-right. I mean, that is a derogatory term, and he's using it to talk about his own voters and other Republicans all across the country. He said that the election was a mandate for anything. It was for elected officials in both parties to break through the gridlock to finally start producing results. Now, this is patently not true, and it's obviously not true. So why is he writing this? Well, I will venture forth some guesses here in just a second. But let's deal with the substance here. How could anybody look at this election and this campaign and conclude that what voters wanted was the two parties to break through the gridlock and work together? Because what has happened in this country since 2010 is that the Democrat Party has been shellacked. The American people have defeated Democrats 2010, 2012. Remember, even Obama wins re-election in 2012. The Republicans won control of the House. Tea Party election 2010 and 2012, and then they got the Senate. And all during this period of time, the Democrats have lost. I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say this. They've lost over 1,000 electoral seats in national and state elections. They have been repudiated totally. Obama personally and politically has been repudiated. There was no evidence and is no evidence whatsoever that American voters want anything to do with the Democrat agenda. Not a majority of them. The Democrat Party has been, folks, it really has been rendered in many ways not a national party. The only thing that gives the illusion that it's a national party is the media and the way they portray Washington as being dominated by Democrats. Whatever Democrats do is what is. Whatever Democrats think is what everybody thinks. Whatever Democrats want is what everybody wants in Washington, supposedly. But out in the real world, Democrats were told to take a hike. And yet here's a Republican senator claiming that this was an election about sending Republicans and Democrats to Washington to work together to stop gridlock. This election was specifically about making America great again. And to do that, the American people realized they had to defeat Democrats. They don't want the Democrats participating in this. The Democrats are the reason people are miserable and unhappy and have future careers that look dismal and look like they're absent any serious health care. I mean, it's a total mess. Tillis then says Americans from all walks of life have voiced their deep frustration with Washington's seeming inability to get anything constructive done. No. There's all kinds of stuff that got done, and the American people didn't like it. How in the world can he say that people are tired of Washington not getting anything done? 1/6 of the U.S. economy was taken over by Washington. Healthcare. The Constitution ceased to exist. Look at immigration. The laws of the land have been entirely, totally ignored. People cannot find work. There are 94 million Americans not working because of Obama and Democrat Party economic policies. There is a national, or was, national malaise of depression and just America was flatlined. There wasn't any energy. There wasn't any optimism. Obama was giving away the United States superpower status. He was giving away the American lead in technology and in energy. He was doing everything he could to cut this country down to size under the pretext that America is the problem in the world and has never deserved our superpower status because we acquired it by virtue of stealing resources and other things from other countries. This was not about things not getting done. This was about all kinds of things getting done that the American people didn't vote for. For decades, Mr. Tillis writes, they have watched politicians talk a good game while failing to deliver. No. They have delivered. This is the problem. This is a Republican senator writing this, don't forget. The Democrats have delivered, and the Republicans didn't do very much to stop it. We have out-of-control budget deficits. We have out-of-control national debt. We have Obama budget after Obama budget that was rubber-stamped and authorized. There wasn't any that didn't get done. The government was growing inexorably. The government was growing unstoppingly. The government was taking over everything it could get its hands on. The IRS had been politicized. The EPA had been politicized. The Department of Justice had been politicized. You have the Benghazi circumstance where people were put in jail for having had nothing to do with what happened. The American people were lied to routinely. We had Fast and Furious, where the regime sold high-powered weapons to Mexican drug cartels in a scheme to get the American people so upset they demanded gun control, which is another thing the Democrats are trying to do, is get rid of guns. And Senator Tillis claims that the American people are tired of nothing getting done. The American people are tired of precisely what was happening and getting done. He says they have watched as politicians intentionally create chaos and widen the partisan divide for their own personal gain. Yep, that's a description of the Democrats. The Republicans didn't do anything. Republicans were given mandates in 2010. The Republicans were given a mandate in 2014. They didn't do anything. When here's a guy saying that there wasn't ever a mandate, and certainly not in 2016. Republicans should remember that when Trump campaigned, he wasn't holding up a conservative manifesto at every rally. Instead, his message was simple: cut deals and deliver results. Senator Tillis, you either weren't listening or you're not watching. Have you noticed who he surrounded himself with? I'm the first person to tell you Donald Trump's not ideological, but it doesn't mean the election wasn't. Here's a Republican trying to tell us there was no ideological component in this election when liberalism was sent packing, when liberalism was repudiated, and there was no ideological component here. Take a look at Trump's cabinet. Take a look at the people who speak for Trump. For crying out loud, he has surrounded himself with perhaps a more conservative candidate than any Republican president we've ever had. I'm sorry for getting a little expressive here, but this is mind-boggling. You know what this is? Mr. Tillis obviously is going to run for some other office somewhere down the road. Because this, what he's writing here and what he's saying, bears no resemblance to what happened in the most recent election. This is the kind of moderate, bipartisan BS that you get from rhinos. And rhinos had nothing to do with this past election other than trying to stop Trump. And they failed. We even had some conservatives, known as never-Trumpers, who tried to stop Trump, and they failed. Tom Tillis was elected in North Carolina to enact conservative solutions, to participate with the rest of the party in enacting conservative solutions to the existing problems created by the left and by the Democrat Party. He was not sent to Washington to compromise with far, far leftists in the Senate. I can't believe that he actually thinks he was sent to Washington to compromise with radical leftists. But here's the thing, Senator Tillis, like it or not, the problems that we have, that Trump was elected to address and fix, are going to have solutions. And every one of these solutions, and I don't care who you are, and there's going to be some never-Trumpers that don't like this, every solution to this is going to be rooted in conservatism. It's not going to be thoroughbred conservatism. It's not going to be 100% undiluted conservatism. But every solution is going to have conservative elements. It must, or there won't be any solution. Any solution that has any of the status quo, which is radical liberalism in it, will not be a solution. It will be a continuation. And Mr. Tillis was not sent to Washington to continue what has been happening the past 8 years. Now, I looked. He barely won his first election to the Senate, and he would not have won if conservatives had seen this side of him. If he had campaigned for his Senate seat, writing things like this, he would not have won. In this sense, he's a throwback. He is one of those guys that, as a Republican, runs as a conservative and tells you all these great things you want to hear and gets to Washington and doesn't do it. So maybe he wants to be governor of North Carolina. I don't know. But this is the kind of stuff you say if you are going to seek an office in, say, a local election or state election like governor, where you have a sizable collection of leftists and northeastern transplanted Yankees who've come down to escape high taxes and oppressive government and are creating the same circumstances in their new locations in the South.